So I've been a little hard on the fat acceptance community as of late. After all, 2023 is the year of mean. But usually when you have a movement like fat acceptance or fat liberation or healthy at every size take off, it doesn't appear out of a vacuum. There is a reason for it, and that reason is typically a tiny grain of truth. Think about it. If it didn't have an element of truth to it, they would struggle to get as much support as they have. Of course, that's when bad actors come on the scene and they take advantage of people who actually have been hurt in some way, and then they can convince them of their toxic ideology, such as you can be 200 pounds overweight and somehow be healthy. Or you're fat phobic if you try to lose weight. Crap like that. And we don't like crap like that. Hi, I'm Lisa and welcome to my new Fat React series where I'm going to be reacting to different aspects of health culture. This includes the fat acceptance community, the fitness community, as well as popular health and beauty trends. Today I'm here to give the fat acceptance community the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to be reacting to a series of TikToks featuring one woman's experience navigating the healthcare industry as a fat person. We'll be talking about some of the similarities that I have also experienced as a fat person in the healthcare system, so similar things as well as where we conflict. This series is quite long, so I'm going to be reacting to it in 2 parts, and this is part 1. Let's get started.
I'm here because my period is just out of control. It lasts for a couple of weeks every single month, and it is excruciatingly painful, and I'm passing really massively large clots.
Yeah, that's happened to me too. That happened to me for about 13 years before a doctor would even thought to look for anything other than just pointing to my weight. It was awful.
You know, some women just don't handle pain very well. Have you tried losing weight? You know, heavier women tend to have heavier periods. It's really an incredible amount of blood. This can't be normal. You probably think it's way more than it actually is.
I cannot tell you how many times I was told that. I cannot tell you how many times people were like, it's just not as much as you think it is. And I'm like, I literally would have to go home from work several times during the day. Yeah, I know TMI, but this is important for people to understand because I had to change my clothes. That's how bad it was. And it didn't matter if I changed, whatever I was wearing, sanitary napkin wise, every hour, it was never enough. And it would last for weeks. And nobody took me seriously. Nobody took it seriously.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted a second opinion. I have been having massive clots, heavy bleeding, out of control. I actually started tracking how much it was with a cup, and it's about 8 times the amount they say that you're supposed to lose every month. Can you please help me? You know, most of this comes down to weight loss. You should just lose some weight, and then you won't bleed as much anymore.
Yeah, so I could definitely relate to her experience. And there is some truth to what the doctors are saying, if you're not as heavy, you'll have lighter periods, but they're not listening when we say just how heavy they are. It's not average heavy. This is like pass out at work heavy, which has happened to me before. Let's go on to the next part.
I can do this. 3rd time's the charm. Hi. You're actually the 3rd provider I've seen about this. I'm having massive amounts of bleeding each month for about 2 weeks. It's about 8 times the average amount. You know, honestly, it's not uncommon after 3 children for women to bleed a little bit more during their period. Have you considered weight loss? Sometimes that can help correct the situation. I actually work with a nutritionist and a therapist right now for my eating disorder, and it's a fantastic care team. It's going really, really well. I'm also active.
There is so much I could say about the whole eating disorder aspect to this. Having an eating disorder which causes you, for example, to binge eat, it definitely needs to be treated. But I do understand here, them telling her to lose weight over and over and over again is not addressing the problem that she's having.
Well, that's great. What plan does your nutritionist have you on? It's going to take care of itself. Let's give it 6 months, see what happens. No, you don't get it. I am bleeding through everything. I've been sent home from work twice now. When it happened,
yeah, I believe her when she's saying she's bleeding through everything and being sent home from work because that exact same thing happened to me. Okay, let's move on to part 3.
Freak out. Don't freak out. It'll be fine. Just tell them what you told everybody else. Hi, Tanya. I'm Andrea. It's so nice to meet you. What brought you in today? Trying for like 6 years to get help, so bear with me. But basically, all the blood in my body every month tries to escape through my uterus. It's clots. It's feeling like childbirth. It's me leaving work multiple times a month because I've bled through absolutely everything, and I literally can't keep living this way.
I remember there were times in Japan where you were like, that's where I lived for like the first half of my 20s, where I had to get blood tests for various things, and they'd always come back with me being like extremely anemic, and they would always, of course, fall on like when I was having a period, because my period was always half the month, and they were like, oh my god, you're just like, how are you even like standing right now? And I'm like, well, half the time I could barely stand. So that was your answer. And it really did feel like all the blood was trying to escape through my uterus, just like this woman here. I'm not really sure if we had the same issue, but I can definitely sympathize.
And before you say anything, yes, I know I'm a larger bodied person. I have a nutritionist and a therapist. They're amazing and wonderful, and I do good work with them, and I'm active. Please treat me like you would somebody who wasn't in a larger body. That all sounds terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. I can see here that you haven't had an ultrasound during that time. We're going to get you scheduled right away. We're connected with a wonderful women's health center too, so let's get you connected.
That's basically the same thing that happened to me. I had, 12 to 13 years of doctors not taking me seriously. And finally, it was a dermatologist, of all people, who looked at the acne on my chin and my neck, and also looked at this weird yeast infection on my scalp. I know TMI is gross, but it's important to know this. And she was like, these two things together is a really big indicator of PCOS. This is like the external skin part of that disease. And she was the one who actually ordered me an ultrasound, not my primary care doctors, not anyone I'd ever seen in an emergency room or in urgent care for certain issues. No, it was the dermatologist who came to my rescue. I mean, it's no wonder why people who are overweight do not trust the healthcare system, because the healthcare system doesn't trust us. Let's go on to part 4.
Hi, Tanya. It's Andrea at the clinic. Say, do you have a minute? Oh, hey. Yeah, absolutely. What's going on? We got your results back from ultrasound. Looks like you have a condition called adenomyosis. It's where the endometrial tissue works its way into your uterine wall. It goes through its cycle with you, and it can contract and cause really bad pain, heavy bleeding, and those fist-sized clots you showed me the pictures of.
Fist-sized clots. Holy crap. Yeah, so I never had anything that big, but I did have pretty big. Holy crap. She had fist-sized clots, and doctors were not taking her seriously.
I know in our meeting you told me instead of getting a tubal ligation after your last child, you got Esher coils, and you were concerned. I did look into those as well. You're right, they aren't sold in the States anymore, and they're banned in many other countries. That might be something we want to look at as well. Okay, I'd love to meet and talk about next steps.
Holy crap. So her birth control option that they gave her is no longer like sold in the US because of complications, likely. And doctors didn't think to look at that? That's insane. Let's go on to part 5. Ugh.
Hi, Tanya. My name is Dr. Graff. Nice to meet you. I looked over your record. It looks like you have a diagnosis of adenomyosis. Lucky we found that on ultrasound. It usually doesn't show up. Usually we don't even find out until post-hysterectomy. Not our usual first line of treatment, though. We typically start with birth control like a Mirena IUD. So I'm a little nervous about that. I actually got Esher coils implanted instead of going with an IUD because I've responded so terribly to all the different types of birth control I've tried in my life. They just worsen my anxiety and depression.
That is a legitimate concern. There's a lot of women who do not handle hormonal birth control very well. I do, because I don't take birth control for birth control. I take it for severe hormonal dysregulation, and it's, how do I put this? So when I'm on birth control, it's like I'm a normal person. That's the best way I know how to describe it. My body is actually normal. And there's just some women who just do not respond to that excess estrogen or progesterone in their bodies. And so the fact that a doctor is like kind of just pushing it on her That is concerning. Doctors, listen to your patients. If they're telling you this medicine doesn't work for me, listen to them. It reminds me of also, I was going in to get a birth control pill, and I really, really, really never ever wanted an IUD because I had so many friends who had IUDs and like their hair fell out and things, crazy things like that. And there's this one male OBGYN, which I didn't let anywhere near me. I was just seeing him to get the birth control prescription, was trying so hard to push the IUD on me. Like he was selling it or something. It was insane. I was so offended. I stormed out of there. And then he called me afterwards to be like, are you sure you don't want the IUD? I'm like, no, fuck off. Excuse the language.
Well, you haven't tried an IUD. I think this would be best. I hear you, and I'm still really concerned. When hormonal birth control affects me, which it always has, it's really, really, really affected me.
If a woman does not want hormonal birth control, don't put her on hormonal birth control. Also, let's talk about the fact that hormonal birth control can increase your risk of breast cancer, especially if you have a history of it in your family. I have one friend who does have a history of that in her family, and she can't go on it at all. What's she gonna do? Don't push it on these people. If someone doesn't want it, come up with a different solution. It's not that hard. Oh my God.
Well, you don't want to have a surgery that takes you away from your kids and your work for 6 weeks right away, do you? We might as well try it. You haven't tried it before. Yeah, okay.
I feel really sad over that like defeated look she has at the end. I've had that defeated look so many times. And you just feel like you have to go through the motions because every doctor thinks that they're the best thing since sliced bread and that they have the solution. And this time when they say it's going to work, it never does. I mean, I wish that we were in a position to advocate for ourselves better. Go to part 6. Yeah, I've met a lot of people who've gone on IUDs who had the same exact experience.
I'm not leaving until you take this thing out of me.
Yeah, I had a friend who got an IUD once, and apparently what happened was they inserted it wrong, and she was trying to like drive the next day, and it like dislodged or something, and it was so painful that she had to pull over to the side of the road, and her husband had to come and pick her up. Because she because she literally couldn't move. It just doesn't sound like a fun time to me. Okay, this is the last part we're going to be covering in part 1. This is video number 7.
Hi, I'm Dr. Turner. Dr. Graff isn't in today. It looks like you want your Marina out. Yeah, I can't do it anymore. Dealing with increased depression and anxiety symptoms, and I just need it out. Okay. Well, the other option for your condition is a hysterectomy. That would be the next step then. Yeah, that's fine. I can't live like this. Okay, it's a fellow colleague of ours who handles all the hysterectomies. We'll get you scheduled with her right away. Say, before we let you go today, we want to make sure that you have an appointment lined up with your therapist. I see that your PHQ-9 results, well, they're concerning, to be quite frank. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm here, and I meet with her in the morning.
Hormonal birth control can cause depression. Pain can cause depression. Having uncontrolled periods can cause depression. I just can't believe that doctors would put her through this. I mean, I definitely can't believe it. They did the same thing to me, not with IUD, but with other stuff. It's just, I don't know, it stinks.
So, please just take it out.
Oh, okay, so yeah, that was hard to watch. And it's hard to watch because I can relate to it a lot. There is definitely a problem with doctors not taking overweight people seriously. I would not be as overweight as I am right now if doctors had just listened to me 20 years ago. I'm 33. I had these symptoms start when I was like 12, 13 years old. And I often wonder how different my life would have been if someone had just listened to me. I wonder if this woman would have needed a hysterectomy, if someone had just listened to her in the beginning, had done a simple surgery and not a massive surgery. I guess we'll never know because, as we've learned, medical professionals don't seem to listen to fat people. So yeah, today I'm agreeing with Fat Acceptance TikTok on this one particular issue. As I said, everything starts with a grain of truth. All the toxic ideology stems from this. If we address this issue, in my opinion, the rest of it's going to go away. If you can get people actual help, you won't hear crazy stuff like healthy at every size. You won't hear crazy stuff like you can be obese and healthy. Or things like, well, people list their diseases like, I have Hashimoto's, and I have depression, and I have an eating disorder, and I have all these other diseases, OCD, whatever, and yet I'm healthy at the same time. You won't hear that weird logical fallacy. If we fix the healthcare system, we're going to fix this weird cultural phenomenon of health at every size. Anyways, stay tuned for part 2. It will be coming out soon. We will finish the rest of the series and see where her journey took her. Anyways, bye.